what it is, man. Detroit versus everybody, man. Detroit, we rep the hardest, man. We gain the hardest. You know what it is, man. Detroit, CJ, holla at your boy when we get home.
All right, man. I seen YSM Media. Shout out to the boy from Philly, my boy Jamil. He basically said it's Crawford and Spence the next best fight. Terence Crawford and Jaron Ennis the next best fight for Terence Crawford. Go check it out. I did a live stream on it. I thought it was a really good question. In my opinion, just purely, like, it depends what you're basing it on. If we just basing it on all aspects, popularity, money, anticipation, once you start thinking about it, and he said outside the Canelo fight, which I really don't even think Canelo fight is a viable option right now. I mean, we could lay us options out on the table. Danny Garcia, Lar winner. Danny said he got pushed back on his channel to January, or to next year, excuse me. So, I mean, that fight would be very important from the simple fact of, like I said, he said he wouldn't fight Danny Garcia, but if Danny Garcia get the 160-pound belt, let's say he defended versus Michael Zephyr, Terence Crawford get a belt at 54, that'll make him, what, a 5-division world title holder. So you got one at 35, you got one at 40, you got one at 47, you got one at 54, you get one at 60. Makes perfect sense. I mean, I think it kind of makes, it makes the fight super again. I'm not saying it's a super duper fight, but it makes the fight a big fight again. At one point, it was a really big fight. What they split in the amateurs and Angel and Terence going back and forth. Now it's another great fight. Danny had a 160-pound title. Danny gonna defend it versus Zephyr unless they pay him to step aside, which makes sense. Defend it versus Zephyr. Let Terence Crawford get a belt at 54. They both beat at 60. That make a great amount of sense. You know what I'm saying? Shit, they can even defend the belts at 54, and Danny can get an opportunity to be he got an opportunity to be a 4-division world title holder. Think about that for a minute. They can make the fight at 54 and still have the 60-pound titles on the line, because you make the 154-pound weight limit, right? Then then anything above 60 is considered super middleweight. But then if you have 54, you still can fight for the 60-pound title. So it'll give Danny an opportunity, if he would like, to fight for a 4-division title. All right. So yeah, that will make a ton of sense in my opinion. Okay. So that's another avenue that people not talking about. Obviously, the Tim Tszyu fight is a really big fight. Tim Tszyu is coming back in March for the National Rugby League in Vegas on a Friday in March is what they planning him to come back in on. So I'm not sure if Terence Crawford will be in that mix. I read an article saying that Lubin may be in that mix as well too. So Tim Tszyu is another big fight. I mean, I thought he was going to get the WBC interim title, but I don't know what happened with that because Mendoza held that, so I'm not sure. But, it's another good fight. I think that's a bigger fight than Jaron Ennis, in my opinion, especially internationally. And then I think that, you want to say Jamil Charlo? He has to defend against his mandatory, Batraz Masveli. I gave him that name. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but there was a rumor, I think I could say this now. Either him or Israel Madamov actually knocked out Sebastian Fondora before the Lubin fight. I get them mixed up. I can't remember which one it was, but one of them two guys knocked out Fondora before the Fondora fight. Before the Lubin fight. So I think I can say that now. I didn't say nothing before the fight. Tell nobody before the fight or nothing like that. But yeah, that's what I heard. So that was the rumor. But then continuing on, so I would say those may be the only bigger fights that's reasonable. I mean, T.O. ain't really coming up. Devin ain't, he just got there. Taylor lost. Regis ain't trying to move up. So, just thinking off top, I say the biggest fight out there for him right now is a Danny Garcia. If Danny Garcia is able to defeat Erislandy Lara and win the 160-pound title, I would say that's the biggest fight out there for him right now. You know, then I probably would go Jamel Charlo because he got multiple belts. Then I would go Tim Tszyu. And then I would go Jaron Boots Ennis. I think at this point, Keith Thurman has to do something significant. He would have to beat a Jaron Boots Ennis and stay on this to be able to stick out and get that opportunity. And I think it is, obviously, those fights are bigger than the Errol Spence rematch just because Errol Spence ain't really do what he was supposed to do in those fights. But to me, those are the only fights that I think are within reasonable range. You know, those the only fights I think that's within reasonable range. You know, so I hate when it get cold. I start getting like dry spots in my head. Yeah, that shit. Or that's a bump. Where that bump come from? That shit hurt. Hair bump. Hurt like a mug. I thought it was a dry spot. When it get cold, that's when dandruff really be kicking your ass. You got to use the right shampoo and all that shit. But I'll get some grooming tips on my other channel, kind of things I use and stuff, man. Especially to make your beard darker without doing enhancements at the barbershop. I'm going to just start doing videos so I can show y'all kind of stuff that I use and stuff, man. But I did become an Amazon influencer. I just got to sit down and figure out how I'm gonna work that. So once I figure out and learn that, just got to take some time away, man. You got the holidays coming up, whatever. But yeah, that's the only fights I really see that I consider bigger. You want to throw Canelo in there and say, oh, he should jump up fight Canelo and I go ahead. I just know the boxing game and the weight game. So weight class for a reason. I understand. Crawford is a fighter. You see that money, you don't fear no man. You've been fighting bigger guys your whole career. It's different than fighting a bigger guy in the boxing ring and fighting a bigger guy in the street. In my opinion, you got a better chance of beating a bigger dude's ass in the street than you do in the boxing ring. Real talk. Because in boxing, everybody is equipped with essential weaponry or essential skill set. In the street, you never know. Just because you big don't mean nothing. I done seen plenty little niggas with plenty big niggas ass. And most women are attracted to bigger dudes or taller dudes because it's kind of primal. They feel more safe around them. So they feel more safe around them. But that necessarily don't mean nothing. That's why a lot of women love Thuggo and Pookie and Ray Rays because they feel safe around them. But don't know, without that stick, without that gun, they can't defend. They can't. Most of them niggas thugs can't fight, bro. At some point they used to be required to be a street nigga. You used to have some type of, you had to have some form of fitness and some form of, hand skills and stuff of that nature. That ain't required no more. Most of these dudes can't fight. Look at them Chicago niggas that go to jail and they crying about going to general population. Without that gun, there ain't nothing. So that's when I laugh. I know some regular niggas that'll beat the shit out some street niggas, and it won't even be close. but yeah, bro, like, man, I know some white boys in the gym there that'll do some black dudes super duper dirty, bro. And I know some brothers that y'all never think y'all will get y'all ass whooped by them y'all in the street. Y'all confidence gonna be gone, but you'll just never know how skilled and trained they is. This is why I don't go around here. I don't go messing with people. You got it. I don't know. I don't know what you holding. You don't know what I'm holding. I don't know what you capable of. You don't know. I hope you got it. I leave people alone, and I ask you to be left alone unless it's just on some casual shit. But those are the best fights for Crawford. You want to throw Canelo, Danny Garcia if you get the 60-pound light belt. You could throw Lara in there as well too as a slash. Jamel Charlo, Tim Tszyu, and then I would say Jaron Boots Ennis. So that's my opinion. And some of those fights, is tied to achievements. 4-division world title holder, 5-division world title holder, on the route to undisputed in the 3rd weight class. I mean, there you have it. So some of those things is, are achievements. Just defending your undisputed title or going to regain. Or I guess Jaron Ennis, you can regain and be you could be a 2-time welterweight undisputed champion. I guess that is an achievement, but would you rather be undisputed in the 3rd weight class, a title holder in the 3rd or the 4th? Or title holder in the 4th weight class, a title holder in the 5th weight class. Then if you move up the ranks that way, then maybe you can entice Canelo to fight you at 168. And I do kind of find it funny that Canelo was willing to fight Earl Spence at 160 pounds, and the plan was for Earl Spence to fight Keith Thurman at 54, then fight Canelo at some point at 60. But now he don't want to come down for Terence Crawford. And, like I said before, dude, it's boxing. It's boxing. A lot of these dudes, man, they not confident. But the reason a lot of these guys not confident is because it's the emphasis on the loss. The loss can destroy you. Once you fight every 1 to 16, or every time you fight 16 months, or every time you fight once a year, or once every 2 years, bro, a loss is detrimental. But if you fight 4 times in a year and you lose once, especially if you lose the first fight or second fight and you come back and win 2 or 3 more times, you know what I'm saying? Nobody really tripping about that shit. But hey, it is what it is. Check out the Welterweight Boxing Talk playlist. Shout out to YS Media. I thought it was a great question. Hit the link tree. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the whole 9. Appreciate y'all for holding the channel down, man. Check out my new channel, Free Game 89, FR33 Game 89. And check out my Detroit channel, Motor City Sports Talk, on the race to 500 on my Free Game 89 channel. Appreciate y'all helping me get there. On the race to 10 bands on the Detroit channel. So help me get there as well, too. I think I'm about just less 300 people on there getting there. But both the links in the description and in the link tree. Peace.